Bans for game number 3 already underway. Ezreal, Nocturne, and Anivia from AOE. They have still respect banned that Nocturne and the Ezreal away. Karma, Lulu, and Ziggs being banned away by Who Flashed That Fight. They don't want to see that Lulu again. You know, it did decently well that game, but they just don't want to deal with the enchanters. Kali is on the table. It was picked up by Who Flashed That Fight in the previous game. I don't think this is an amazing pickup for AOE because it seems like they haven't been playing around their solo lanes all that well. If they do pick that up, I mean, she is a power pick now they got for the Xin Zhao. But they don't have another enchanter to put with this unless they, like, there's Seraphine and there's Janna in the pool right now. And those are the only enchanters I can really think of.
Yeah, I think it might just go dry this time here at Finnick. We'll see what they do, try to kind of pair with it. But, you know, the interesting thing is typically you pick an enchanter with Xin Zhao to dominate, right? To dominate jungle, to be ahead in CS. And that hasn't been the case. It's been, again, a very selfless style for Mel Scout. So that is what they want to do again. I don't really think you need an enchanter, right? The concept really isn't quite the same as sort of the Chad Xin Zhao that's in your face, taking your camps away, and every time you fight him, oh, there's a free shield for him. So we'll see how he does on this one. Again, we want a little bit more about Mel Scout in this game, hopefully on this third game of Xin Zhao. But on the other end of things here, it's going to be Stingus now on the Varus, and that Viego going to go right back into Donut Maker's hands. This is a quick Tristana. Wow, okay. AOE quickly responds with the very same bottom lane that Who Flashed That Fight rolled out with last game.
So this is kind of what they needed to do. I think, you know, you got the enchanters out of the way. You're not going to be able to do that. Last game, you bet it all on pack sacks. This game, you just do the same thing. Get the Tristana ahead, feed the Tristana, put Xin Zhao priority towards that bottom lane, while still giving Xin Zhao farm. And you have your win condition. So AoE is going to want to play around this bot side with this Tristana lane. Who Flashed That Fight can still play around solo lanes. With this Hecarim pickup, not one that we've seen a lot of in the current patch. What do you make of it?
I have not been a fan of the return of Hecarim from some junglers. I think the priority is a bit misplaced unless the composition is very specific or the counter pick is very specific. Hecarim's now a full damage champion, doesn't have the tankiness that he used to. There's definitely still places for him, but I just don't think he has the same power that a lot of other junglers do, right? He'll really struggle if Xin Zhao finds him in the jungle at any point. He can kind of interrupt one of the dashes with his ultimate, and you can kind of try to skirmish with the Qs, but in general, I'm not a personal fan of the Hecarim. We'll see how Baka does pilot it. It could just be something that's comfort here after most junglers have probably played it for a good portion of the year. The Alistar's very interesting next to this Varus, particularly into Tristana Leona. I think it's okay, but the reason we don't see a lot of Alistar at the moment is easily countered by enchanters, which are banned away, but it's also very hard for him to get out of any sort of engage, which typically Leona is good at running you down afterwards.
Well, speaking of those enchanters, they're going right at the Seraphine again. I think it was a fine pickup last game, or it was played fine last game. I mean, obviously, like, at the beginning of the game, I said the draft was terrible. Obviously, you know, they won that game, so what do I know about that type of stuff? I still don't like Seraphine as a mid lane pickup, especially if you go for a Moonstaff build. That said, if you go damage Seraphine, it's not too terrible here. I think it's actually, if you go damage Seraphine, it's not as bad in the Viego as the full Enchanter Seraphine that we saw last game, but I doubt they're going to go for that damage build. They went for the Aatrox on the top lane, going to be responded to with a Mordekaiser. Not the traditional counter to the Aatrox. Perhaps Who Flashed That Fight doesn't want to play the Urgot into it, but still a decent matchup either way.
Yeah, I think it is a decent matchup. Interesting to see Andesu take Dusk to Dawn's specialty into him. Maybe a little bit of a call out here in the top lane. We'll see how Dusk's response here in the Mordekaiser does work. But yeah, I will say, looking at these drafts, they do look a bit more experimental to me. This one a little bit closer to what AOE played last game, but quite a different look from Who Flashed That Fight in general, I would say. Looking at this composition, they've got the Hecarim that wants to engage, but Not a whole lot of follow-up to go with him, right? It's a little bit difficult for Viego to follow that quickly. Alistair can kind of join him, but Mordekaiser certainly cannot. Mordekaiser kind of operates on his own, and you do have the Varus damage over the top, but it seems to be something that I certainly haven't seen a lot of this composition, and it kind of feels like something that Who Flashed That Fight is going to try to test out in this game.
I fully expect lethality Varus this game. Not just because it's the more meta Varus pick, but because I don't see this game, I don't see a win condition this game going late because you don't have a way to actually protect the Varus. Because Alistar, yes, he has decent disengage, but Hecarim and Viego are going to be looking for flanks. You're really just Alistar Varus versus the world at that point. And when you're up against Tristana and Leona, it's going to be very difficult. So by going for the burst-oriented pick, it combos very well with the Hecarim, it combos well with the Viego. You're able to snowball the game, and hopefully with that take control, which is something that Who Flashed That Fight were able to do game number 1. They had struggled with in game number 2. We'll see if they're able to do it again. Once again, I think it comes back to this jungle pick, though. Baka on the Hecarim, I know you said you weren't a huge fan of it, but Divine Sunder or Hecarim, it works. It's not super popular, but those who have been picking it, it has seen some success even in matchups where you think it might not. So, we'll feel free to disagree on the viability of this Hecarim pick, though. As mid laner will be the Viego versus Seraphine once again.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it can work, right? It's not like a pick that I absolutely hate. It's just something that I don't think has been piloted to its perfection and think it requires some more specific conditions. But like you're saying, Divine Sunder Hecarim can definitely work. And if it does get ahead, it's certainly going to be an absolute menace, right? We've seen that time and time again, even before the Chem Tank meta. So something that can definitely work. We'll just have to see if Baka is comfortable enough to make it do so in this matchup and whether he can overcome the rest of this AOE composition, which I kind of like here. Again, we saw that Seraphine go fairly well for them in game number 2. It provides a nice amount of long-range CC that can really help set up fights for the dive that comes in here from the Aatrox, from the Xin Zhao, Tristana, and even the Leona. So I think at least a synergistic composition here from AOE. It will help them fight. It will help them skirmish. Again, the critical thing for me here this time around, just make sure Mel Scout can actually do his job on the Xin Zhao, right? Make sure he has enough strength to absorb pressure and damage when he does dive into the enemy compositions, that he can be a champion, that he can skirmish. I think if you do that, you've got a very good chance of just jumping onto this composition and killing them, because I think their engage not quite as good as yours, and I still don't think, like you were saying, there's a whole lot of peel away for this Varus. So I do think there are angles for AoE. I kind of like what they've done here. We'll see if they have what it takes to overcome the Juggernauts twice in one night.
I could not have said it better with myself. And with that, we're going to go to a quick break. When we return, we will have Random and Necrox back to bring you game number 3. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone, to Summoner's Rift. It is AOE God Squad tied up with Who Flashed That Fight 1-1. Now is time for the deciding game. I am Necrox, once again joined by the randomest of minion casters as we prepare to settle the score.
Okay, so it's our final game of the final week of the regular season here, Necrox, and
sad.
Most people are locked in. These two teams are locked in, and I want to see a random game. I mean, you've got nothing to lose right now. You can kind of go right at it, scrap away from the very start here. You know, it seems to have been a theme throughout the entire series, but AOE God Squad, they picked themselves yet another sort of team fight style composition where they want to group up and fight. And Who Flashed That Fight, they pick strong champions with agency, things like the Viego, things like the Mordekaiser here, and well, both of them should do fairly well in the first couple of 6 levels, just going at it 1v1, 2v2.
Seeing us on the Varus as well, want to note that he does have the lethal tempo, so we'll be going some variant of the on hit you could imagine, really trying to pump out that late game damage. Random, still waiting to see whether we're going to get something like the Damage Seraphine, Leandries, the Ludens, or the more likely option, the Shirelias or the Moonstones, which really can buff up carries like Mel Scout on the Xin Zhao, which is an interesting phrase to say after we've seen game 1 and 2.
You know what? No. You either go full Enchanter or you go no Enchanter. Go Mage Seraphine for this one. Yeah, I think it's probably going to hit a little bit better than the Sustain. And Mel Scout, yeah, this Xin Zhao has really not worked out, but AoE seem very committed to it. They're just going to keep trying over and over again. And this time, they're trying for an early level 2.
They want the engage. Kenny flash stunned, but the knockup from Dokdo is beautiful. Flashing himself out as well. So the level 2 does not pay off. But the question is, what does Baka get on the back end? And I don't think the answer is absolutely anything. The Hecarim just doesn't clear that effectively early on. And so level 2, for level 2's sake, flash is burned.
And it's a 2-for-1 trade. I mean, you do burn the ignite, pardon me, as well for Kenny. And my question though is, why do that? If you're gonna do that, why didn't they go Hex Flash for Kenny? Because now you don't have as much kill threat, whereas Dokdo still has that Hex Flash, still can look to go in, especially playing around those bushes here. And when Baka comes back, he's probably going to get to that bot lane quicker than Melscout will.
Yeah, especially because of the delayed clear here for Melscout, but we'll see how these junglers continue their pathing. Quick shout out to our friends over at League of Lotus. If you want to check out the one game that actually does matter tonight, Lotus are fighting for their bye as Aphelios is underway there for Waffle Wheel, number 180 carry. Always love to see him play the game. Top side trade and Desu going in against Dusk, but doesn't find very much. And you were telling me before the game started, you really wanted to see Dusk step up, bring someone into that death realm, and not only take them into the 1v1, but win the 1v1.
And before we get to that here, I feel like we've got to balance things out. Shout out to AM Grind as well, since we're showing people. Make sure you buy their coffee because, yeah, you know, they really help to keep things going here more than League of Lotus does. Anyway, top lane, I mean, you're picking a Mordekaiser into the Aatrox. The Aatrox is going to be huge in the team fights. Your Mordekaiser probably not going to do the same. So when you pick that Mordekaiser here, you're saying that I have to win the 1v1. I have to win the trade and have more impact here.
Engage, bot sizing the blade. Remember, Dokdo has no flash. Nice headbutt away, though, onto Paxax. Do they have the damage just with Kenny alone? The answer is no. The health bots tick, and Dokdo staying alive.
Just barely here. And the thing with the Alistar is that you actually do have a heal in your kit. Your passive Triumphant Roar, pardon me, will heal you up over time. So if you don't kill that Alistar right away, you're fine. Melscout now looking top, will get spotted on a ward, will clear that. And the question now is, will Dust to Dawn step up?
Yeah, Dust to Dawn needs to be very respectful of Melscout, even though may not be the greatest late game carry of all time, but now he's making the wraparound. They want this to work so badly. Dusk has flash, but so does Andesu and Melscout. Nice chains. Dusk having to walk the wrong direction, and I don't think there's an easy route out. Even under the turret would mean that kill goes through. Trying to deny assist gold would be nice, and he gets it, but that means it's a solo kill in the books for Andesu.
The moment that happened, look where Baka's going here. Start running to the bot side. TP having to be called as Dokdo gets caught.
TP in. Donut trying to arrive to the play, but a late TP as well. Going to join the fray for AOE. Kenny, who's going to go down. Sacrificial support, only losing one, though. Doesn't feel as bad as it could have gone. Random not there in time with the teleport, so who flashed that fight? They get one in return.
Donut Maker barely getting there in time to get the assist there. And despite getting first blood, because the first blood was unassisted, the assist gold actually evens things out. And the only problem is just who's getting the gold here. Dust to Dawn falling behind is not ideal for who flashed that fight.
Yeah, not ideal. And I think Andesu actually getting gold up here is not, I don't want to say not super impactful, because the 1v1, I mean, it's a counter matchup. You're not going to win this for quite a while, but, you know, I'll give Andesu the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he can impress me on this Aatrox, but taking away Dust to Dawn's pick doesn't mean that you're necessarily skilled at it. It's just that you didn't want Dusk to pilot the Aatrox, as Donut tries his best to trade there, but okay, where are we going with this? It's Darkseal and Tyr doesn't tell me all too much about Random's build. I'm really hoping we get some sort of inclination about where this is headed. Maybe a Seraph's on the horizon, which tells me something more mage-like. Finnick would be happy, but I honestly think Enchanter is just so much better that it's not worth the investment on the extra gold on the mage items.
Darkseal, and it's a mage. Not actually, but I would like it to be that way. I think it also depends on how sort of the laning phase goes here. I really do think, though, that Liandry's will give you a better push into Donut Maker as well, and we'll try and hold Donut Maker down. Because we already saw last game, once you did pick up the Liandry's, it wasn't necessarily about surviving the lane. It's about making sure Donut Maker is low and that you're out trading constantly, that the minion heal isn't allowing Donut Maker to just regen right back up and then come back with the trade. If you get the Moonstone, you're healthy as well, but you're the one who has to be careful for the all-in, because Viego can 100 to 0 a Seraphine, while Seraphine can't really do the same. Baka, topside here, and Death Realm gets popped.
And Desu as well, going to use the World Ender. Can he buy enough time for the team to arrive? But there's no TP to help you out, buddy. It's just a straight up 1v2. And Desu using the flash, but the onslaught of shadows will fear him right back. Lots of healing from Desu, but it's just not enough. One more swirl of the blade, and Baka cuts him down.
Vengeance there for the gank that Melscout pulled up top. And right now, it feels like the top laners are just not really playing as if they're in a team. It feels like they're just looking for the 1v1s because both ganks now have come in rather forcefully. The first one having the ward clear up by Melscout and just no respect. The second one, no ward whatsoever. We do see though Paxax and Kenny, they've been winning out this 2v2 on their own for the most part. And because of the priority that they have here, they're able to go there and help Melscout out, make sure that they get themselves a free Ocean Dragon, which will only make the laning across the board here for AOE feel that much better.
Quick news as well. Lotus have just locked in second seed, so they have earned themselves a bye week as they take game 3 off of Glaive. So they have earned themselves a little bit of time off to experiment with whatever does come in the next patch. Meanwhile, AOE though in this game looking to get an invade going against the likes of Donut and Baka for this blue buff, but things get pretty scrappy if you're not careful. Nice shot over the wall from Singus to start things off. Doko looking for the engage, only find a headbutt though. The charm keeps them from pulverize, and Random Capitals with a long-range mage artillery will find the kill. And AOE, not sure if they grab the blue buff, but they'll take the trade for the kill regardless.
I do believe they actually did manage to get it. I'm just not sure who's carrying it. And Sting is now gonna eat a whole bunch of damage without Doc though. That bot lane is not very safe for you.
Yeah, not incredibly safe against the Leona and Tristana. They both kind of just jump at you and kill you. Stingus has no cleanse as well, so it does need to be wary about the potential of lockdown. Mid lane could be the next target though for Baka. Uses the ghost, wants the gank in. Nothing to be found though. Not even worth the camera's attention.
Oh man, Kenny, I'm just waiting for Kenny to hit 6. I think once Kenny hits 6, that Solar Flare becomes a legit threat here. And because of the Death Doctor should be behind. Oh, they're even sneaking Melscout in here. I love it. Just double, triple down on this.
Yeah, Melscout thinking about a lane gank, but this thing isn't Dokdo ever walk up far enough. The wave is going to push out. So this would be good timing for 2 casters left. And all right, we're wasting a lot of time here. We got to get something done with the gank. Dokdo has the sweeper, but it's not in range. The wind becomes lightning, and here comes the engage. Dokdo will fall to Paxax as one more shot knocks him over.
The Solar Flare wasn't even used. Necrox, they can just rinse, repeat, and Stingus. They can dive Stingus here. They literally just need for Melscout to walk into that push. Stingus needs to start backing off here.
They're going for it regardless. Solar Flare, Stingus flashing away, but flashed for Solar Flare, you'll take that every single time. Now there's really no way away for Stingus. A couple of dirt shots on the back end, but it does not matter. He's going to be forced to lose the wave. He's going to be forced to lose his summoner, and AOE putting on a clinic in bot side.
All this time that Melscout is spending into the bot lane right now is coming at a huge cost. We've seen it over and over and over again. Melscout keeps falling behind. This time, you don't have double. You don't have triple supports to try and keep you topped off. And Melscout 2 levels down here. This is going to be a problem for Melscout as an engager. He has to sit back, let Kenny engage, let Andesu go in, and then you follow up. If Melscout's the first one in, he'll be the first one back to base as well.
Yeah, first one as well to approach any potential objective. But Baka looking for a play on the other end of the map. Dustodon pulling him in. There's the entrance into the Death Realm, and Desu trying to buy time, but here comes Random Capitals to make it a 2v2, and Desu is healthy enough. Does the healing and shielding make the difference? And Desu trying to kite away. Baka not able to find the kill, even though the ulti was committed. And who flashed that fight? Try, but they do not succeed. But Random, what are you doing, man? That's not where you want to be, in the middle of 3 members. And Donut getting the reset, not able to find the root on the beat drop. Melscout going in the middle of everyone with the Crescent Guard, but it doesn't matter. You're not tanky enough. Who flashed that fight? Get 2.
Mord Shield just baiting Melscout in, and not only that, Melscout is under leveled. You don't have the damage either to be diving that aggressively there. I think the moment that Random Capitals went down, yeah, numbers disadvantage. You'll walk away. And who flashed that fight? Once again, it just feels like they keep coming out ahead little by little in these fights here.
Baka wants to push this wave under. and see if he can help. Indeed, he will. Dust to Dawn able to get a recall off now. Solar Flare locked up. Remember, there's no flash on Stingus. Couple autos, and it's easy pickings in the bot lane for Paxax and Kenny Master Lin. Dokdo even having to use the ulti to make sure he does not die and make it to AOE. Continue to apply pressure with this duo lane.
This is why you run Cleanse against the Leona. It's just too difficult not to, especially on an immobile carry like Varus here. You don't have any escapes, any mobility. Top side, they're trading over and over again. And I think Dust to Dawn has hit the point where you start winning these. Yeah, you haven't completed your first item yet. Riftmaker not quite done, but look at this damage going back and forth. And the shield's still there. We should remember that.
Yeah, that's the big cooldown, excuse me, for the Mordekaiser, and Desu able to get a decent escape route back to his turret, but is it enough? Pop on the World Ender, pulled back and knocked over, and Desu will fall. Nicely done from Dusk, but the return play on the other side is simply knock down the turret and grab the Drake, but now it's a race for cash as Who Flashed That Fight, excuse me, pop the Rift Herald in top side.
And they're just going to get some plates down. They'll get the turret as well, but you did lose out gold. And the whole point, again, of trying to gank that top lane is to get Dust to Dawn ahead. He's ahead enough. If you keep spending time up there, you're losing map control, you're losing map pressure, and that is now 2 dragons stacked for AOE God Squad. I believe this is the first time this series that AOE is actually up dragons in the early game.
Yeah, AOE doing a good job of making sure these objectives go their way. Of course, Rift Herald not among them, but Paxax is here clearing out the wave in time. He will be significantly up in farm because of this wave. Extends his gold lead, and 130 to 102 farm. Stingus not able to collect as many creeps, which means his on-hit bars is going to take that much longer to come online. Meanwhile, I think we got an idea about where Random is going. That last chapter, plus the Dark Seal you were mentioned earlier, RMC. I think we're getting some damage coming out from the mid lane.
Not efficient when you've got 0 stacks on that Dark Seal, but it'll stack. You're a Seraphine. It's very, very easy for you to get those assists there. And Necrox, this game, we're not seeing that frenzy we saw. I believe last game at this point, we're about 20 kills at about 14 minutes here. Whereas this time, the teams don't feel a rush. Both of these teams will scale up fairly comparably here. I think I will slightly give the edge to Who Flashed That Fight with that Viego. And that's not been the case prior. With all those support style champions, the longer the game goes, the stronger they were, and that's why we saw Who Flashed That Fight forcing things left and right. So it becomes a bit more of a game of patience right now, and I appreciate that. I think Riftmaker completed for Dust to Dawn, changed the dynamic in the top lane, and this Divine Thunder for Baka here. I want to see more ganks coming through. I want to see more sort of isolated picks, especially on this Seraphine that has kind of gotten away unscathed to this point.
Yeah, only 1 death on the board, and everyone else has at least 1, other than Paxax, who is sitting at 0 so far. Donut doing his best to crash this wave as well, but with 3 minutes on Drake, it's just crashing wave for wave's sake. Baka earning himself some vision on bot side rivers while getting things set up nice and early, and with a Sunder completed from Baka, that's the other point of scaling that I would probably give to Who Flashed That Fight, formerly known as VBO. Yes, Jin Zhao buys time in team fights and he can become a nuisance, but man, Hecarim dive in your backline really causing chaos, plus the damage he now does with Sunderer. Yeah, I'm going to straight up give it to Flash That Fight in terms of scaling. I would like to see AOE use this team fight comp they built for themselves to good success in these upcoming objective skirmishes.
And I don't think that they're actually looking to team fight just yet, because Stingus is behind on the curve right now, has not completed the Kraken Slayer. You're just looking for isolated pings. Pings come down into the bot lane here. I know we're watching top, but I'm sure we're about to flick bot.
Yeah, Random. Got to be careful, my friend. You're too far out without a rope. Just wait for it, and a couple more. Baka commits the ulti. Easy stuff. Random Capitals drops again. As you're talking about, she escaped unscathed. Not this time. Who Flashed That Fight grabbed themselves another kill.
I was thinking you ganked that lane. That wasn't a gank. That was just straight up murder. Well, it was 1v1. The Hecarim is just too strong right now. And I think if you can do that, you do it on repeat over and over again. Because if you can solo her outside a turret, if Donut Maker's there, both of you have such high bursts. The Heartbreaker is an execute. So you can just dive and suddenly Random Capitals should no longer be allowed to split push.
Donut Maker working on this turret, but Viego not a great siege champion in any manner. So we'll have to take quite a while to actually push down this turret, but AOE don't seem interested in the bot side of the map. They seem very interested, however, on this Rift Herald. Could give them a key into the river for this next fight. A lot of vision control right now for Who Flash, so if they get this, might be able to pop it down mid lane, grab that mid tier 1 and get themselves some vision priority. But finally, Donut able to trade it away for the bot tier 1. So just really objective trading. You're absolutely right. Both these teams playing this game pretty slow, but I think we might have something coming up here in the next 60 seconds.
Yep, Dragon. That's gonna be what they're fighting over, because third Drake is usually when you start to see teams full commit here. We've not seen that up to this point. It's always just been skirmish here, skirmish there, individual gank, individual pick. And when you start bringing all of them together here, that's when AoE comp really start to shine. You pick the Aatrox over the Mordekaiser, right? Over something else that can split push, and you then need to set it up. And you've got the tools. You've got Solar Flare, you've got Encore, and we point out that Stingus doesn't have cleanse. Nobody has cleanse or a QSS or anything to stop the CC here, and Leona is just so easy to engage with. Docto has to get a beautiful 4-5-man pulverize to stop that sort of engage.
17 seconds left on the clock, and with that being said, AoE are the ones in the river for now. That Rift Herald still available for Mel Scout, by the way, so still have to worry about that, but that's going to be an after-the-fact situation. Here we go, nice engage, Encore, gonna hit 3 Menders from random. Dokto, 1 HP, Donut Maker keeping himself alive in the back end of the fight, but Paxax has already got kill number 1, looking for the resets, grabs kill number 2. Meanwhile, Mel Scout in the 1v1 against Dusted Dawn. Don't think he wins this one unless he outplays. Beautifully done from Mel Scout. That's why you picked the Jin Zhao, and AoE God Squad and get 3 for free.
Let's be honest here, that fight was kind of over when it started. The engage was just so good. All the burst damage coming out right away there. It was won, it was done, it was dusted, and the fact that Baka got out, that Stingus got out is already a positive thing. They do have to be careful though. This turret already down, and with the charge coming through once again here, if there's enough members, they can just pop you.
Lucky to be able to stop the second charge. Baka looking, though, does have the onslaught of shadows, remember? Hadn't committed that one last fight, but he might just get bursted down. And Paxax shuts him into the grave, hops forward and takes away Stingus's life as well. This Tristana might be small, but it's huge amounts of damage coming from this AoE 80 carry. And now it's time for the siege down mid, plus the engage from Kenny Masterlin, finding its way into Dusted Dawn. Dokdo having to use the headbutt pull combo just to disengage. And Who Flash that fight are thoroughly on the back foot now. Mel Scout at 1 HP due to the turret, but he was just tanking for his team to ride high and get away as Who Flash that fight lose 2 more.
Okay, when I said that Baka and Stingers have to be careful, I meant under their turret. I didn't expect them to go chasing outside their turret there. You were already not in a great position. You didn't quite have the numbers advantage. It just feels like they not really taking things into account. And again, we have to remember that they're locked in. So if Who Flash that fight wants to make these sort of hero plays, they can afford to do that just, you know, as they wish. It's not really that big a deal. But I would like to see a bit cleaner play though, because it just feels like a waste when you do something like that and you have the theoretical advantages, when you have the theoretical leads.
Yeah, when you have just the natural advantage in your favor, don't need to do anything too crazy, but instead Who Flash that fight are willing to scrap at every turn, and this game has not worked out for them. Stingus still trying to scrounge up gold here, sitting on 1 item, and Boots does not have anywhere near the amount of gold he needs for his second item. Meanwhile, Paxax, yeah, he's a rich man. He's got Kraken, he's got the PD, he's got the armor pen now, almost has the full LDR, just about, I think, 950 gold away from the completion, plus whatever gold he's got in his pocket, so that one should be done pretty quick. And I'm not sure that Who Flash that fight really want this team fight anymore. We've been talking about how AoE like the full 5v5 compositions, and Who Flash that fight pick a lot of individual skill-intensive champions, don't necessarily synergize well together. I just want to see them really look to put on a show of creativity now, looking for angles that AoE don't expect.
Yeah, and I actually think the fact that all the kills are on Paxax makes this easier for Who Flash that fight. If they was evenly distributed, then it becomes a huge struggle in terms of who do we kill, who do we prioritize. Right now, the priority is clear, Paxax, and you've got the tools to kill him. Baka cancel dive that backline, same with Donut Maker here. And as soon as Paxax goes down, the fight gets so much easier for you. You can then kind of pick off an order, just go for the squishy, take out random capitals.
Here we go. Viego versus Aatrox 1v1. Something I haven't seen in quite a while. Hopping over the wall with a Heartbreaker, but Andesu looking to turn it around with the help of Mouse Scout. And now we're getting TPs, baby. It's going to be a full-on 4v3. Dusted Dawn is by himself, though. Everyone from Who Flashed that fight has left him to die. Maybe one of return, but Mouse Scout's surviving. And Dusted Dawn is thriving only in the gray screen, but the return call is on Baron.
Yeah, just really solid play there. The problem here with trying to do this Baron right now is this teleport from Andesu. Anybody shows up and this gets risky. Baka's almost dead already just from Baron.
And Desu might actually be caught out, though. Stingus is low, so won't be able to complete the Baron, but AOE now are the ones that want to start things up. Oh, how the turntables have shifted, my friends, because Who Flashed that fight are now having to get back into the pit with 7,000 HP left on it. Baka, no ulti, no ghost. There's no easy way in other than through the front door, and against Kenny Master Lin with all the CC, they have decided it is not worth their lives, and they will give up the Baron to AOE.
And no vision as well, I think, most critically there. You can't even try and just charge in, hoping, praying that you steal that away, because you don't have a sense of timing there. And to be fair, the Baron take was actually rather slow. Now, AOE God Squad, they've got Baron. They are at soul point for an Infernal coming up in 40 seconds here. Who Flashed the fight have to go to that Dragon, have to fight that. And with the gold deficit they're in, which granted doesn't look that much, but considering the way the team scales, in terms of team fight, they are down a lot more effective gold here. It feels like this might be the game-breaking fight, if not the game-ending fight, should Who Flash the fight lose it.
Don't quite have an avenue down mid lane. They do have a minion wave, but still 2 turrets plus inhibitor plus 2 Nexus turrets to go through. So gonna take a while if they do want to end after this one, but that's assuming they can win the fight in the first place. But I can tell you they have one priority over this Drake now coming down into the arena. Who Flashed that fight certainly looking to make a way into this one. Dusted Dawn taking a 1-for-1 on the other end of the fight, but it's stolen away by Baka with a nice onslaught of Shadow Steel. He's going to be left to die. Paxax picking up that kill. Now they're moving forward. The charm's not going to connect onto many. It's only 2, but it does not matter. Paxax is hopping forward and hopping his way into a victory march. He is 8-0-3. Mel Scout grabbing the kill onto Dokdo. And Who Flashed that fight? It does not matter who Blue Summoners, it's about your base at this point.
That's really, really bad here, because sure, great that Baka got the steal, and that was absolutely insane. I believe we do have a replay set up for that as well. And you can see, actually, they had no vision. So everything I just said about Baron apparently didn't matter. Baka will run in blind as long as he's got the ult, and he managed to steal it. Amazing, really low as well, and oh, it's because Mel Scout's not in the pit. Mel Scout was too far out, couldn't actually stop it. But here's the problem. You get the Drake, your base is now in shambles. You lost multiple members off the back of it, and they still had Baron. And you can see that, okay, yeah, great. Only Donut Maker really left alive there, and that is a huge problem.
That was so clean from Kenny and Random. The synergy with a substitute to find the charm and Stingus, I didn't even notice this. They immediately dropped the solar flare because he cannot move, did not commit the flash early enough, maybe not able to see the charm through all of the particle effects, but instead they get the layered CC. He loses all of his HP in one go, and Stingus cannot pump out any damage. So the fight is always going to go to AoE. They clean it up. They get not the Drake, but they get the open inhibitor in mid lane. And now it's just a timer. RMC, 3.5 minutes now, ticking down to 3:15 until, again, we're going to have some sort of miracle for Who Flashed that fight, either on the Baron or the Drake, which spawn at basically the same time.
I've been playing this game too. My first instinct when I saw that Dragon got stolen was, what are the levels of the jungler? Was there a smite damage discrepancy? And it doesn't matter, but what was interesting is Mel Scout, AOE God Squad is winning right now on every front. Mel Scout is still down a level and a half here in terms of where he is. So despite the team winning, Mel Scout on this Shin Sao still not looking great. They are pushing in right now, and for Who Flashed the fight, you force this fight. You go, you try and take out the Tristana or Paxax. She's going to demolish your turret, your base.
Baka's looking for Kenny, but he's the frontline Mel Scout chained up with Stingus's ulti, but only takes about half HP. Random not pulled back as well by Dusk, and sort of missed opportunity maybe for Who Flash, as they have the team separated but not on the same page themselves, which means they cannot find any kills. With AoE's advantage, they are looking for the fight, but now it's a Who Flash that fight coming in. Mal Scout using the Crescent Guard. Nice play onto Dustin Dawn. He's immediately deleted by Paxax, and now they're going forward for more. Hopping forward with rocket jump reset, finding the CC and damage onto Dope Do. Double kill to Paxax, man. This is why you are so highly rated in Heavy League. 10-0-3. AoE do not care if you're number 1 or number 10. They look at you as is, take them down, and will secure themselves. Nice standing into playoffs as Stingus falls. Next is the next target. It does not matter about the stats because AoE secure a 2-1 win.
Yeah, just really solid gameplay from AoE this series. And we don't highlight this pretty much at all during the series, but once again, this is a sub they have in their mid lane. This is not Rune Weaver, who we've seen play for AoE God Squad the entire time. It's Random Capitals. I have no clue who that is, but they look very good on Enchanter mages. I'll give them that much here. And if AoE God Squad can maintain this momentum going to playoffs, yes, they are locked into 5th. Nothing changes there. They will have to play the extra quarterfinals. But Who Flash Fight's the best team in the league. And until tonight, they looked nigh untouchable. Even in their losses, they always just reset right away here. So this is a potential finals matchup that we just watched, and teams going to playoffs will have to keep an eye out for AoE.
I'm hesitant to give AoE a lot of credit. I'm not exactly sure how hard Who Flash Fight were trying. It feels like, honestly, they weren't on full gas the entire series, whether that's due to AoE, making them look on a back foot, making them really second guess their engages. That could be massive, but I just don't know. I'm not confident predicting either way. If you're an AoE fan, you're in chat right now. I see you, Kobe, saying, yeah, we just stomped Who Flashed That Fight. We're going all the way. If you're Who Flashed That Fight, though, you're going, yeah, we didn't really care about this series in the first place. Didn't matter. It was for fun. So we weren't committing all the way. Whether I'm sold either way, I can't give it. I'm not going to budge.
Fair enough. I mean, I do think, though, that regardless of how Who Flashed That Fight performed tonight, AoE did look strong. And
for sure.
And okay, I think it's Coach Jacob drafting for them. I am very upset with you, Coach Jacob. I would like to confirm this in the I can't even talk straight after thinking about those enchanters. I would like to confirm that during the interview because that is disgusting. I hope every team bans enchanters against you. I don't care if it's Random Capitals in the mid lane. Even if they put, at the rate they're going to put Rune Weaver on Talia and make him build Moonstone or something just to make this work. But yeah, that is disgusting, and it works. So teams, take note. I don't think the meta is going to shift between now and then. Yeah,
and it's just, I need AM grind coffee. That's the end of the story. After watching 5 enchanters, basically, Paxax might as well have been an enchanter that game. It's just... It's so boring. I want to fall asleep watching this team play. And I love these two teams. Obviously, they bring a lot, but please don't do that ever to me again. It was supposed to be a hype week night, and then I had to say uwu and ayaya on cast. My career was so young, but it is now officially over. RMC, we got 2 more things for you. We got an analyst-esque and an interview right after that. We're going to send it over to DJ and Finnick to break down our final game and give us an update on the league as a whole. Take it away, boys.
Thank you very much, Necrox. And it has been a season. Regular season is officially over, with the final standings being Who Flashed That Fight in first place, a 21-6 overall record, with Lotus in second place, as they also are 21-6, but Who Flashed That Fight have the head-to-head win there. Glaive Esports Onyx going down to third at 20-7. Sparta Prime 19-8 in fourth. AoE God Squad 5th place, 14-13 with that win. Gamers for God 12-15 in 6th place. New Age Frost 10-17 in 7th, just barely missing out on playoffs. YO Boomers 8th, 7-20. LBK Lemon 7-20 as well in 9th. And Rage Quit Esports Arctic in last place at 4-23. But let's talk about that last game. Random already mentioned it. Necrox already mentioned it. I have no idea where they brought Random Capitals from. I had no idea who this player was. I had no idea what he was going to play. While I still think MVP of the series is Paxax, Random Capitals looked very good, with the exception of a couple TP plays in the first game, and he outlaned Donut Maker every single game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think Random Capitals came in and stepped up big time here. So I guess Rune Weaver, look out, man. You head out to the St. Louis land. You leave your team behind. You might come back and your team might have left you behind, buddy. So stay off of Twitter for a while, or maybe Coach Jacob's going to replace you. But Random Capitals does come in here. He performs very well. We mentioned the TP plays, kind of a little off sync in game one, but 3 shoving, mages here in the mid lane. He looked very, very capable on them, both in the lane and in the team fights. The Seraphine ultimates, particularly in game number 3, were excellent. Excellent. They either caught multiple members or they completely split fights down the middle, and that really set up AOE for great success here. And that great success was capitalized on by their AD carry. Came into the day, we had him on the All-Pro Team 2, and I mean, I think he delivered, really, right? We had Waffle Wheel 1, Lotus went 3-0 today, and we have Paxax here against Who Flashed That Fight, the number 1 team, against Stingus. And he really showed up even in the loss, in my opinion. So 2 incredible performances from them, a very solid showing for the team. And what a massive boost for them after a chaotic early season to head into the playoffs now in 5th place on a 2-1 win over the top team in the league.
Yeah, I'm excited for these quarterfinals. They're going to be up against Sparta Prime, which, GJ, you were telling me is the 2nd best team in the league. So,
yeah, I mean, I've had them power ranked 2nd for 2 or 3 weeks now. I think they're very, very good. There's a reason I had Boost for Success as a tier, as my Team 3 mid laner. Woo Hyun was on that list as well. I think Alex is an absolutely cracked support. So I think this is a very solid team. I think they've kind of gone under the radar because they've only been streamed once and they have had a lot of roster changes, but I think it's a very scary team. I think AOE, though, tonight made me much more convinced that they can actually put up a fight against Sparta Prime in that series. So I'm actually very much looking forward to that one, as I think that series should be pretty exciting, probably compared to our other one, which should be Glaive against Gamers for God.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that. Hopefully we get to cast that one. But going back onto this series, I mean, AOE God Squad, we talked about Random Capitals, we talked about Paxax. The elephant in the room, Mel Scout got trounced by Baka in all 3 of these games. Going into playoffs, that's a weakness you got to shore up. Meanwhile, Who Flashed That Fight? Baka looked very good in all 3 of these games, even in their loss in game 3.
Yeah, he definitely did. He seemed like he was in the right place. He was picking up kills, right? He was at a strong point in every single game. Few of those moments, right? He's just a little caught out, right? A couple decisions don't go his way. The team maybe not quite on the same page or not able to follow up on his initial engage, particularly around that Drake steal that they needed in game number 3. He's just left out for dead as he has to go in there on the Hecarim. So I think some things unfortunate, but Baka definitely put on a good showing today. And again, I assume and I trust that Who Flashed That Fight will go back to the VOD review, right? They'll understand what mistakes were made in this series and they'll be better for it. And they will have a full week and a half, right? They are getting a bye. So they'll have plenty of time to iron out those edges as they do get into playoffs, because they will be facing, no doubt, a very strong team when they do roll up into semifinals.
That being said, that's all the time DJ and I have for you on the desk tonight. Before we end tonight's broadcast, though, we have an interview with Paxax, MVP of that series by a long shot. Necrox and DJ, take it away.